Hello and welcome to a brand new edition of the Mumbai Manifesto. Hello and welcome to the Mumbai Manifesto once again. Today we have a very important topic to discuss. Policing, safety and everything to do with the Mumbai Police. We have with us Mr. Harish Maganlal Baijal, who has an illustrious career with a vast array of policing subjects that he has dealt with. And he has been very gracious in giving us his time today. He's come all the way from Nashik to be with us. A quick introduction of Mr. Baijal. He started his service way back in 1993 and recently in 2022, he has hung up his boots. During this time, he has served in various capacities across Maharashtra state, but he has done a lot of work in the city of dreams, that is Mumbai. Within this term, he has also spent time in Kosovo in a UN peacekeeping mission where he imparted training to people, and of course there was much learning from him which he brought back to Mumbai. And it is in Mumbai that we benefit from some of the great work that he has done. Mumbaikars will remember a crackdown on drunk driving and a mission mode that the police went into as far as no honking was concerned and the seat belt rule was concerned. Well, these are always faceless initiatives. Today you get to see the face behind those initiatives, and Mr. Baijal was the one who championed these initiatives. Beyond this, he's also done a lot of work with human rights and safety issues. He's a cycling enthusiast as well, and he's done a lot for the promotion of cycling, and he continues to do that after he's hung up his boots in his hometown of Nashik. It's an absolute pleasure having you here, Mr. Baijal. Welcome to the Mumbai Manifesto.
Thank you, Gautam. The privilege is mine to be on this platform of Mumbai Manifesto. Thank you so much.
Mr. Baijal, we had shared with you a set of questions, but since then, there have been several things that have happened in the state of Maharashtra, most notably the Porsche incident. So before we get into those questions that we had set for you, we must discuss the Porsche incident. And I want to begin by reading out a statement by the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, which is about 2 or 3 days old. And I quote, earlier this week, and I quote,
Yes.
I am deeply alarmed by the rise in hit and run incidents in Maharashtra. It is intolerable that the powerful and influential misuse their status to manipulate the system. Such miscarriages of justice will not be tolerated by my government. The lives of ordinary citizens are precious to us. I have directed the State Police Department to handle these cases with the utmost seriousness and ensure justice is served. In addition, we are implementing stricter laws and harsher penalties for hit and run offenders. No one, whether rich, influential, or the offspring of bureaucrats or ministers affiliated with any party, will have immunity. I have zero tolerance for injustice, unquote. Now, sir, if the Chief Minister of the state is so alarmed by the increasing hit and run incidents, how does it reflect on the law and order machinery? That's the first part. The second part is if he's also clearly concerned about the misuse of power by the wealthy and the influential class. Tali to do haath se bachti hai. So there has to be some abuse of power at the level of the police as well. So what are your observations on this? Is this something that is new? Is this something that is systemic? How would you respond to the Chief Minister?
Gautam, first of all, the law does not discriminate between the have-nots and haves. The law applies equally to everyone. The very fact that the Honorable Chief Minister has to make this statement that the law applies equally to everyone does not speak very nicely about it. That means that there is something wrong in the system and something seriously wrong in the system. It's an open secret, that the high and the mighty, they many a times, they escape punishments. There are cases of replacements of victims or even, not the victims,
Witnesses.
The culprits, Then milder sections are applied in several cases, and it's only when there is a public hue and cry as far as the media is concerned, then maybe the relevant sections are applied. The most glaring example was of the Porsche incident. Now, had it not been for a influential and a rich father, then maybe this case would not have been highlighted so much. If it had been a poor two-wheeler and a poor four-wheeler involved in an accident, and there would have been casualties, then that may not even had any news value also, or maybe in some corner, of the third or fourth page, it would have got some space as good as a postal stamp. Why was Cyrus Mistry case highlighted so much? Why was Porsche case highlighted so much, or for that matter, another BMW incident that happened
in Mumbai?
Yeah. So, I mean, it is only when the rich are involved or the powerful are involved, does that attract the media attention?
Correct.
What, I mean, does the poor man's life, it doesn't have any value? Here, and I mean, two technocrats, were killed in an accident, in an early morning accident. Now, you should appreciate this fact that there is no previous enmity between those two technocrats and this builder's son. So, what I am trying to say is, if me, Harish Baijal and Gautam, if we have some property dispute or some other dispute, some marital dispute or any other thing, some ego issues, and then I hit you or I sort of, kill you, there's a motive involved in that, that I don't like you, or you did something wrong to me, or you did some injustice to me, or you usurped some of my properties, that's why I killed you. There's a motive. There's an intention. There's a knowledge.
Here there's no motive at all.
Now, the technocrat, that boy and that girl had absolutely no connection with that builder's son, So, what I am trying to tell is, that these accidents and these mishaps, they are absolutely faceless. We don't know who is going to be the victim, we don't know who is going to be the culprit, we are absolutely clueless about it. And when we are absolutely clueless about it and when the offense is faceless, we should be absolutely ruthless about its implementation.
I think that's where the contention is, because it was highlighted, the public feeling was that the law is not being applied fairly in this case, that there's some extra leniency being given.
That was rightly so.
So that's where the anger comes from.
So that was rightly so. My question to you is, does a poor man's life does not have any value? And अगर ये media में अगर highlight नहीं होता था, तो would the case have gone to this end?
And how many countless have gone like that?
No, for us, it is just a figure.
Right.
For us, it is just a figure. It is mere statistics. Understand that. Every year, year after year, we are losing 13,000 to 14,000 lives in Maharashtra itself.
To vehicular accidents.
To these accidents. 13,000 people, every year. And then the worst part is, they are from the productive age group.
Right.
That is affecting our GDP also, because, almost, it is said, many figures have come from the authorities that almost, 2.5 to 3% of our GDP is lost in these fatal accidents.
My God. Besides this devastation the family.
लोग अपने पास में हर साल मर रहे 1,20,000, 1,30,000. What are we doing about it?
These figures are pan-India.
Pan-India. And year after year, even if you go 20 years back also, you will see that. So why does it, has to be a Cyrus Mistry, who is killed in an accident, and then suddenly the government wakes up and says that, the rear view passengers, rear seated passengers also should have seat belts,
I think from a public perspective, I think it's even more infuriating that it takes a Cyrus Mistry and it takes a Porsche to highlight issues which are actually everyday issues. And I think the one must acknowledge the public anger in this case, and it is affecting the image. It is affecting the image of the state machinery for law and order. It is affecting many other aspects as well. But what is of paramount importance is how a common man sees this machinery. This is a machinery that he trusts his life with every day. If there's a trust deficit there, there's a need to repair that trust deficit on both parts. Coming to this trust deficit, it's a matter of image. I remember growing up in Mumbai, very commonly we used to hear this: Mumbai Police is as good as Scotland Yard.
I would differ on this.
I mean, but this was the narrative, sir. I'm saying.
No. I would place Mumbai Police ahead of Scotland Yard.
Fair enough.
I would place them ahead.
But this was something that was used.
No, you compare, the technical inputs that they have, and whereas where we stand, as far as technology is concerned, and where they stand.
Right. So, in my opinion, again, this is public perception. This is my individual experience that I'm coming from. So you can correct me if you feel otherwise. But it was a matter of pride at that time, always. I mean, Scotland Yard was spoken about in this, it had this whole Sherlock Holmes aura about it. And it was a matter of pride. Mumbai was always a matter of pride for us. Safest city, best city, alpha city, best city in the country. And the Mumbai Police was always part of that equation. The BMC was always part of the equation. The BEST was always part of the equation. The water supply was part of the equation. All these services, that's what Mumbai stood for. The police was an integral and important part of that image. Today that image has altered. Public perception is looking more towards the sore points. Some things like corruption, which get highlighted more easily because we're in the technology era. One policeman taking a bribe on the side of the road gets captured on a camera, and countless such examples keep floating on social media platforms, particularly like Twitter. Similarly, incidents of police brutality. Once again, it is the age of technology, so the image is taking a bit of a dent. My question is that there is a role technology plays also in this.
Correct.
How can the Mumbai Police turn this image around? Firstly, does it feel there's a need to turn this image around?
There's a dire need, and things are being worked on that. Now, you're talking about police brutality. Gautam, those days are gone now. I mean, when this third degree was applied on criminals, to get out a confession. Now, the investigators, they are becoming more and more patient, with the criminals also, and they are more into scientific methods of interrogation. कि वो पहले का ज़माना गया है कि लाया उसको 2-4 झापड़ मारे और उसने कन्फेस कर दिया. Now here the technological part I will tell you is every police station has got CCTV cameras now. Every lockup has got a CCTV camera. Now there are several places of record keeping, where, I mean, if you are putting a accused in a lockup or an under trial in a lockup, you have to enter the time that he has been put into that lockup room, in the register. When you are taking him out, again that time you have to mention in that, and then all these CCTV recordings are there.
Correct.
Plus they have the forum of the courts, where they can openly tell the magistrate, that whether there has been a third degree applied on him or not. So these cases of police brutalities, they are definitely on the wane now. Maybe isolated cases there might be. But the proportion has come down drastically.
That's very heartening.
That is, and you're talking about corruption. Now, compare a traffic police constable with some other government department personnel, The other government departmental personnel is faceless. You don't know who is he because he doesn't have a uniform. Whereas a traffic constable, even if he is taking legal fine from the violator, and that is being recorded on the camera, that might be pursued that he has taken money for bribe, So that may not be the case. That may be happening. I am not denying that may be happening. But he is identified because of his uniform.
Correct. He is in the public realm.
He is in the public glare, and everyone knows, because of the uniform. Whereas a transaction of maybe a few lakhs must be happening next to you.
Right.
Bags must be exchanging hands, and you don't know who they are,
Right.
which department they belong to, because they don't have a uniform.
I have a different view on this slightly. So let me first begin by saying that 99.99% of Mumbaikars, we are that many people, we love our police department. We are deeply appreciative. We know because we travel. The moment we step out of Mumbai, we know what is not good policing. Any part of India, pretty much any other part of India. Whether it comes to traffic discipline, whether it comes to safety, we know the value of Mumbai and we know where that value comes from. So we are grateful to the Mumbai Police. There's absolutely no doubt. At the same time, we are also aware citizens. We know what's happening. I understand the example you are saying, and it is that person is in the public realm. He's on the road. There are anyway multiple cameras. Everyone has a phone. So to capture him in a moment of weakness is not a big deal. And it happens frequently. I once spoke to a very high-ranking bureaucrat. I can't take the name, of course. And he said, Gautam, the reflection that you ask of, this corruption. We were talking of BMC that time. And he said, how corrupt is your society? You expect that same level of corruption within BMC. If 6 out of 10 people are corrupt in your society, expect 6 out of 10 people to be corrupt in BMC. If 6 out of 10 people are willing to give the bribe, expect that 6 out of 10 people will take the bribe. I absolutely didn't agree. In my book, it's a very fair commentary, but in my book, it's not a justification. We ought to hold ourselves
It
to
can never be justified.
We ought to hold ourselves to a much higher standard than that. And that's what, it's like the knight in shining armor. That's what the police stands for in terms of what the Mumbaikar sees that person as. So, one thing I want to bring out here is a matter of fear. India is one of those rare countries, and I'm just using India broadly now compared to just Mumbai, where even a mother will tell her child, "So ja nahi to police ko bulati." Fear psychosis. The image is there of fear. Daroga ji.
I was, traveling on the train some years back, I had to go for evidence, that's why I was in the uniform. And when we were climbing the stairs, one mother was accompanied by her child, maybe about 3-4 years old. And the child was not behaving properly. And then she looked at me and then she pointed to the child, कि ठीक से चलो नहीं तो मैं पुलिस को बोल दूंगी मेरी तरफ से इशारा करके. I was taken aback, for a moment, I said कि what is this going on, I mean, ये बच्चे ने क्या गलती करा हुआ है कि जो मेरे हवाले उसको करना चाहती है. पहली बात. दूसरी बात, कि why is she putting this fear of the police, in the child at such an early age? What impression that child is going to carry throughout the rest of his life?
And they do carry it.
They carry that,
Yes.
because we as parents are responsible. We want to shirk away from our responsibility from parenting and putting the fear of sadhus or policemen. ठीक है ना गौतम, अंग्रेजों के ज़माने में वो होता था when the police were duty bound to safeguard the interest of the British,
Correct.
This is an independent country now and we are loyal to you, we are in service of you.
Right.
How many people, they realize that, कि अगर आप वही बोलोगे बच्चे को कि नहीं अब ये पुलिस है तुम्हारा दोस्त है, फिर देखो ना कैसा फर्क पड़ता है. Start from today.
So this is
maybe this generation is gone. Right. Maybe the next generation, the third generation.
But that needs to change. You're absolutely right.
Mindset has to change.
So my question is,
start from your house. Start from your child.
Yes, we will start. The citizens, we must start. But I think a campaign has to originate from the Mumbai Police. I think there is a need to change this perception as well. You're absolutely right. If a mother, how can I change, if the mother is only telling the child, it's the mother's choice.
You're talking about campaign. What campaign?
A campaign about safety that the police...
How much money is spent on educating people? Tell me that. I knocked my head, left, right on these insurance companies when I was here in traffic police. I did an analysis of how much money, they are shelling out in settling accident claims tribunals, every year. They are spending between, anything between 5,000 to 10,000 crores every year in accident claim tribunals. It's a huge amount of money.
Right.
I used to tell them that even if you spend about 1 or 2% of that amount on educating the people,
Yes.
so this amount, that you are shelling out in
Right.
settlements, that will
Right.
be saved, So which campaigns you are talking about? Who is running any campaign? There's no campaign. Every day we are putting thousands and thousands of new drivers on the roads. Is there any systematic educational plan for them? कोई सिखा रहा है उनको? डेली आ रहे हैं ना बच्चे तो. 18 साल का हो गया, he gets a license. Is he taught anything after that, कि whether, I mean, how many mothers are stopping their children, बाइक के ऊपर जा रहा है और उसको बोला है.
Sir, in all fairness, just to play devil's advocate here, the process by which the RTO is giving those licenses also, it has to start there. That has to be the first place to ensure that the person is roadworthy. I don't feel that's happening very regularly or happening very efficiently.
That's a vicious circle. I mean, now if you talk about RTO,
Yeah.
are they properly staffed,
Which is a matter of administration. But the point is, it is through the RTO's gates that every person must get his driving license.
Now you're talking about RTO. Now I just examined the figures of 2021, where they roped in almost 125 crore rupees by way of fancy number plates. You know that? फैंसी नंबर प्लेट्स का आरटीओ ने 2021 में महाराष्ट्र में 125 करोड़ रुपए कमाए हुए हैं. Why don't you spend a part of that on educating people?
Or staffing?
Why staff, तुम्हारा बड़ा, it is generating revenue of almost 6,000 to 7,000 crores every year. So this is not the job of the RTO. This is the enforcement branch, where regulation of traffic is their first duty. Generation of revenue is not their duty.
Correct. So from a citizen's point of view, which department is responsible for what function ought not to be the burden of the citizen. From the citizen's point of view, he has to be an honest taxpayer and a disciplined contributor to the...
Gautam, all of them have to work in tandem. I'll give you another example. जब ये पुरानी बात है, खैर अभी की बात नहीं है ये, 2007-8 में we had the system of issuing temporary licenses. I mean, if you are violating some traffic rule, I stop you, I confiscate your driving license, and against that, I issue you a LTEM, that is called, a temporary license, which authorizes you to drive in Mumbai, and if you are caught again, then you can show that temporary license, telling this to the traffic man that your license has been confiscated for some previous violation.
I recall this procedure.
Yes. In the traffic headquarters, this is a 6-storied building, there was one room where, I just accidentally stumbled into that, and there were about 1.5 to 2 lakh licenses confiscated. They were just lying idle there. So I asked those people, कि ये क्यों है? तो बोले साहब ये जब्त किए हुए, बोले तो ये जब्त किए हुए तो ये फिर फाइन भरे नहीं इन्होंने, बोले नहीं भरे फाइन, बोले फिर क्या करते, बोले हम, बोले हर 6-6 महीने को इन जला देते हम ये. तो बोले फिर ये जो 2 लाख लोग हैं इनके लाइसेंस का क्या हुआ? तो बोले ये एजेंट के थ्रू जाते हैं, 200 रुपए में डुप्लीकेट लाइसेंस लेके आते.
कच्चा पक्का renew. There's every RTO has an army of agents standing outside.
Because they are not staffed properly, so that's why they are sort of illegally outsourcing this. Form वगैरह अगर आप डुप्लीकेट लाइसेंस के लिए अप्लाई करते हो, there's one section 8 in that, where you have to mention, कि तुम्हारा लाइसेंस कहीं पहले किसी ऑफेंस के लिए जब्त किया हुआ है क्या?
Correct.
So no, there's no mention of that.
Anyway, sir, moving on, we have some presence on online platforms also. So from Twitter, there's one of these handles which deals with largely traffic issues in Mumbai and BMC issues in Mumbai. It's called Roads of Mumbai, the user, some 100,000 views. He's also sent in some questions. It's a faceless Twitter handle. So I'm just going to read some of those. So each year, like you just mentioned, thousands of cars, the traffic problem is worsening. The road size is the same, the city size is the same, the number of cars are just exploding. Of course, it's an indicator of a growing middle class and a growing economy in Mumbai. But the traffic problem year on year keeps increasing. each year it is again the Mumbai Traffic Police for whom the city is very grateful that despite this madness, we are still able to get from point A to point B. If it wasn't for the Mumbai Traffic Police, if this was any other city, I have no doubt it would be an absolute chaotic madness.
Correct.
However, with these increased cars, they have to stand somewhere, they have to be parked somewhere. So we find that pavements have started getting taken over for car parking. We find a lot of incidences of wrong side driving, particularly by two-wheelers. Also now four-wheelers blatantly, so that it's a cultural thing. If it is not stemmed early, it starts growing, and like a virus it is
It has already grown beyond proportion.
It is spreading a lot. Also, because this is the state capital, the financial capital, we have a lot of VIP movement. I know it has improved a lot, but even so, VIP movement still causes a lot of traffic disruption in this city particularly. Holistically, to look at improving traffic discipline and improving traffic efficiency, what are some of the measures that the Mumbai Police has in place or takes?
गौतम, तुमने ये मोबाइल कंपनीज की ऐड देखी होगी. एयरटेल बोलता है कि मेरे 2 मिलियन सब्सक्राइबर्स है, या फिर जियो बोलता है कि मेरे 3 मिलियन 5 मिलियन जो भी सब्सक्राइबर्स है. आई यूज्ड टू टेल दैट मेरे 1.5 करोड़ 2 करोड़ सब्सक्राइबर्स है. As a part of the Mumbai Traffic Police, why I am telling you around 20 million people are my subscribers, because the moment you step out of the house, you become my client.
Correct.
Either you take a road journey, या तो बस से कर रहे हैं आप, या तो ऑटो से कर रहे हैं, या तो you are even having a two-wheeler ride, or you are going to, even if you have to take the local, you have to travel till that station.
Correct.
So the moment you step out of the house, you become my client.
Right.
What measures am I taking, as a part of the government, to take care of those 2 crore people? Are they adequate? How much of road length is added every year? Every year in Mumbai itself, we are adding at least, 4 to 5.5 lakh vehicles every year.
Wow, it's a
staggering
number.
Year after year. And the road length, that is hardly increasing marginally. Say कहीं कोई एक आधा flyover आया कहीं
जगह ही नहीं
कुछ नहीं है ना, तो जो road length तो it's going to be limited.
Correct.
It's going to be that only because of the typical island nature of our city. So it's going to be restricted. बना तो नहीं सकते. Now 1 lakh vehicle added, so that means you are wiping off almost 5 kilometers of the road.
Correct.
5 या 10 किलोमीटर का अगर एक गाड़ी का अगर फुटप्रिंट भी अगर आप 4 फीट भी अगर पकड़ते 4 मीटर भी पकड़ते हो, 4 मीटर भी पकड़ रहे हैं अपन, तो जस्ट कंसिडर हाउ मच ऑफ रोड लेंथ यू आर जस्ट वाइपिंग आउट बाय दोस व्हीकल्स.
Correct.
The only solution to that is strengthening the public transport. What sort of public transportation is going to Malabar Hill? क्या जा रहा है?
2 or 3 buses.
बसेज जा रही है वहाँ पे. मतलब मैंने एक पार्किंग के ऊपर से एक झगड़ा हुआ था वहाँ पे. आई रिमेम्बर इन 2008 एंड आई हैड टू गो एंड इंक्वायर इनटू दैट. So the crux of the matter was that every flat owner there on an average had ownership of 4 to 5 vehicles. साहब का गाड़ी है, मेम साहब का गाड़ी है, बेटे का गाड़ी है, बीवी का गाड़ी है और एक स्पेयर कार है. Whereas, the parking allotted in that building, is hardly 1 or 2.
Correct.
मेरी 3 गाड़ी कहाँ लग रही है? रोड के ऊपर लग रही है.
करेक्ट.
तो ऑन स्ट्रीट पार्किंग हम कुछ चार्ज नहीं कर रहे हैं. हमने मुफ्त करके रखा हुआ है ऑन स्ट्रीट पार्किंग. So till the time we stop playing to the gallery, things
Correct.
are not going to improve.
Correct.
Why does London have an entry tax into the cities? Main अगर city में जाना है आपको तो वहाँ पे एक से मतलब tax लगाया हुआ है वहाँ पे.
Correct.
Why do we have to play to the gallery? When in 2019, when the Motor Vehicle Act was amended and the fine amounts and the punishments were increased, there was a huge hue and cry, कि भाई ये कौन भरेगा इतना. तुम कौन मरेगा ये सोचो ना, कितने लोग मरेंगे वो सोचो ना, और कौन भरने वाला है, जो वायलेशन करेगा वही भरेगा ना. आप उसको प्रोटेक्ट कर रहे हैं.
गाड़ी खरीदने का पैसा है तो फाइन भरने का भी पैसा होना चाहिए.
फाइन भरने की नौबत क्यों आनी चाहिए? You follow the rules.
But the honest truth is, sir, today there is no place to park. See, I am putting a different perspective to you. I have worked very hard my whole life. I have saved, I have saved, I have saved. Finally, I have got the money to buy a car. I live in a Chad. I can't afford. There's no parking in my Chad. I have to park on the street. Are you going to tell me, or millions like me who have just climbed out of that economic ladder to reach this point and be able to buy their first car, often second hand?
I don't want to comment on that. My main thing is अगर आपके पास में पार्किंग के लिए जगह नहीं है तो आप गाड़ी मत खरीदो.
That's cruel.
नहीं तो then I mean you are depriving the public of that space. Public space.
You're also depriving someone of aspiration.
No, no, no. I mean aspiration not at the cost of the people. Na? Your parking that vehicle on street is causing inconvenience to hundreds and thousands of people. Is that pardonable? At the cost of just for
so this is a very,
interesting
it's a very interesting point that you make. It's a very logical point.
What does Singapore do?
I was coming to exactly that. So Singapore does exactly this. Our economy is different. Culturally, we are different. We are not Singapore and we are not Shanghai.
Then tolerate it then.
The point is now you have found a solution. You mentioned the word on-street parking. I think it's a tremendous point. In an ideal world, you should be able to do away with all on-street parking. You will solve so many of your traffic issues. You will solve so many of your pedestrian issues. But when you say
Gautam,
that,
I mean,
I'll just complete the question. When you have the ideas, obviously, you have thought of this. There's a lot of thought and effort and probably research that has gone into what is required to improve Mumbai. Is it a matter of political will that you're not able to implement some of these initiatives that could clearly bring the difference almost overnight?
I am not competent to comment on that, but I will just tell you a different story. Way back in 2008-2009, I did a survey of all those vehicles traveling from Borivali. Single ownership, one person sitting in the car, driving all the way from Borivali right up to Churchgate. One person. मैंने मतलब सर्वे किया था पूरा बोरीवली से जहाँ से वो स्टार्ट कर रहा है संजय गांधी नेशनल पार्क के सामने से लेकर तो यहाँ पे इधर right up to your मंत्रालय junction. And there we found out that almost 7,000 to 8,000 vehicles are traveling all the way from Borivali to Churchgate to their workplaces. That time I had suggested to the Western Railways also कि why not start an air conditioned local, So what happens is there is ये carpooling भी कोशिश करके देखा हमने उस वक्त कोई carpooling में कुछ ज़्यादा success नहीं आया. I tried to speak to these cafe coffee day people also. They had willingly agreed to give a corner into their premises, for carpooling. But वो click नहीं हुआ.
I remember this initiative had started.
वो click नहीं हुआ वो. Unfortunately, maybe that idea was too early for it. या तो उसका time नहीं था. But ये जो single ownership की जो गाड़ियाँ आ रही है 7,000 गाड़ी 5,000 भी पकड़ लो आप 5,000 गाड़ी multiplied by 4 meters, that is 2 kilometers of road space gone.
Correct.
So you tell me if this 2 kilometers of road space is free, then does that increase the speed of the best bus?
Of course it does.
It does.
Certainly does, yes.
So then what happens is, then when more and more people shift to the public transport, इसमें फिर उस वक्त मतलब नहीं हमारा पीक आवर का ट्रैफिक रहता है ये लोकल डिसरप्ट नहीं कर सकते अब जाके किया ना उन्होंने अभी now they have started air conditioned locals, and a person traveling all the way अगर आप उसको मतलब ना नॉर्मल पास अगर 500-600 है आप उससे 5,000 भी लोगे ना आप he will happily pay that because he is traveling in relative comfort. He can even work on his laptops while completing that journey.
Yes.
But
yes.
I mean,
this is a very complex social issue also, and the decision for the railways is not easy because for them.
नहीं, it is easy. आपका जो peak hour traffic है ना उसको जाने दो. ये single ownership वाला जो client है ये कौन है ये? They are mostly from the top echelons of the corporate ladder. Either they are owners or they are at
Slightly
a very senior
collar.
level,
Correct,
where they can afford to be lenient about their office timings, Staggering भी करने की कोशिश करी थी.
This is our topic for discussion day after tomorrow. But it's very
you have
it's,
to. I mean, that is the solution, that
Correct.
you have to. I tried that, when this metro was coming up in Andheri Kurla road. Most of these multinationals were situated there. They were open. They had changed their timings also.
Right. Right.
मतलब कुछ लोगों ने तो मतलब ना 8 बजे का टाइम कर दिया था, तो unless and until you stagger those timings, things are not going to
Correct.
ease out.
Correct. Because for the railways, the number of people who travel on a second class pass, they are paying something like 12 paise per kilometer. That's what they can afford. That's what makes Mumbai run. Mumbai is Mumbai largely because this second class pass exists, and the vast majority of people on the
You are not
railways.
marketing it properly.
No,
How much of fuel does a car consume from Borivali to
no.
Churchgate?
This is the
And then you
environmental.
have to place the ticketing bracket
Correct,
accordingly.
correct. But the
I mean,
railways can't afford to do that because it will come at the cost of the common man.
after the peak hour is
After peak hours
over.
is a very fair point. After peak hours is absolutely a fair
10
point.
o'clock.
Yeah,
10 o'clock also,
yeah.
अगर वहाँ से मतलब नॉन स्टॉप भी कर सकते हैं ना, 20 मिनट में या 25 मिनट में वो चर्च गेट अगर आ रही है तो उसमें वहाँ पे होड़ लग जाएगी वहाँ पे लोकल से आने के लिए फर्स्ट क्लास से.
So something else you spoke about, which I thought was quite incredible, that with this, you mentioned the Malabar Rail case, where each house has got something like 3 or 4 cars. Obviously, the building is going to only be able to afford you 1, maybe 2 parkings. If it's an old building, not even that much. You come onto the street.
Yeah, but now I mean you have to be strict, where all these redevelopment plans are coming up,
Every building that's redeveloped will have double the residents, and because you will have the free sale flats, those people again will have 3 cars each. But that's a different issue. The person who's suffering the most, now there's a survey by MMRDA which shows that out of 100 trips that are undertaken in Mumbai city, 51 trips are on foot alone. The pedestrian is king, and the pedestrian suffers the most. बारिश हुआ, water logging हो गया,
उसका तो अधिकार ही नहीं है साहब रोड के ऊपर.
So कम से कम फुटपाथ के ऊपर तो थोड़ा अधिकार था. At some point in time, he has some right to use that pavement. Pedestrians are the ones who are the first to lose. In terms of the Mumbai Traffic Police, is there some initiative that looks at pedestrian first? Is there some initiative that looks to safeguard the pedestrian? This BMW hit and run case, for example, may not have happened if the pavement was there in place.
Yeah, all the stakeholders have to come together, The BMC and the police, they work in tandem, only then the pavements can be free of hawkers.
Eventually, they formed something called Mumbai Rail Vikas Corporation, MRVC.
Correct.
Whose sole purpose was to, Baba, aap baat kar rahe ho, aap baat kar rahe ho, I
Single
will.
agency.
Mumbai Police and BMC, how do they talk to each other on a regular basis? Should they not be having some kind of an initiative which is dedicated to communication between BMC and Mumbai Police?
There is a regular cell, which is handling traffic issues in BMC also. There is a proper cell.
There is a proper cell.
There is a proper cell. That coordination is happening. पहले ऐसा होता था कि बीएमसी की जहाँ मर्जी आए वो रोड खोद के रख देते थे, या फिर महानगर टेलीफोन वाले. तो अब now that thing has stopped now. I mean, whichever agency has to do some digging up work, they have to firstly contact the traffic police. Now what the traffic police are doing is, कि भाई some X agency has got some work on such and such place at such and such road. Do you also have any other similar work, on that spot exactly? So what happens is, the 3-4 agencies, they will plan their schedule and work it accordingly at one go,
Correct.
Again and again, jo digging bar hota hai, so that can be avoided.
Correct. I think somewhere we have suffered because the utilities are not mapped underground. Underground utilities in Mumbai have not been mapped for so many decades together. Just off context, when I was working with Mumbai Transformation and Marine Drive makeover was happening, Ratan Batlibai was in charge. They dug Marine Drive pavement. And it was not an exercise in design. They were just repaving it. They found 17 different utilities. Half of those utilities didn't have owners. They couldn't find out ki kiska wire hai. Who is the agency responsible for taking care of this? So hopefully by now they have advanced a lot more, and the city government, the Mumbai Police, whoever is required to, has a map of underground utilities. I don't know what the situation is today, but earlier it used to be terrible. So it's good to know that this coordination at least is happening.
Yeah, it is there.
A very interesting thing is that all these things that are coming to light, whether it's the Pune Porsche incident, the BMW incident, including 2611, some of the things, is because of technology. Cameras are now everywhere. I think it's been phenomenal. The Mumbai Police has been amazing in terms of putting in these cameras in place, and there is a fear of the camera. For the violator, who is a habitual offender, there's definitely a fear of the camera, including on the Mumbai-Pune Expressway, for example.
Correct.
Right? Why not scale up this initiative?
That's happening, and moreover, this prosecution is becoming faceless now.
Hmm.
In the sense, if I, as a traffic constable, if I stop you, then you perceive me to be an enemy, कि नहीं वो हरीश बैजल को मैं कहीं ना कहीं तो देख लूंगा बाद में चल के आगे चल के. But here, because it is a camera, I mean एकदम faceless transaction हो रहा है ना वो.
Correct.
And if the new initiative comes up, where these challans are connected to the banks, then nothing like it.
Lovely.
See, you have to put a fear of law.
Right.
Either it has to be a respect for law or it has to be a fear of law.
Right.
I mean, by backtracking the 2019 amendments, in Maharashtra particularly, it was a big blunder, that because, here faceless offenses है, वो अगर उसको ड्रिंक एंड ड्राइव के ऑफेंस के लिए अगर 2,000 रुपए फाइन अगर है तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है उसको.
That's not even his bill.
I remember a case where in 2008 एक रात में ट्रैफिक कांस्टेबल के मतलब रोका उसने. दिस फेलो वाज सम कॉर्पोरेट इन BKC, ड्राइविंग ए मर्सिडीज. पूछा, शराब पी के वो पॉजिटिव वगैरह सब आया था. उसने पूछा कितना फाइन है, 2,000 रुपये बोला. तो 2,000 रुपये उसने निकाल के उसके आंख पे फेंक के गया. वो यूनिफॉर्म पे था वो. इट वॉज माई हैबिट टू टेक रिव्यू एवरी डे इन द मॉर्निंग कि कहाँ कहाँ पूरे 25 डिवीजन में क्या क्या हुआ. सो व्हेन आई केम टू नो कि दिस थिंग हैड हैपेंड एंड दिस एरोगेंस ऑफ मनी देन I felt very bad, I felt that मेरे आंख पे फेंका है वो.
Correct.
Then I went and argued that case personally in the courts, Bandra में, I remember it very well, Kalanagar court में. I argued it myself and then the judge asked me कि this is, I mean, the evidence है इसमें, उसका breathalyzer test positive आया हुआ है. What is the need for you to come here? Then I narrated this incident कि सर ये ऐसा ऐसा इसने किया हुआ है और ये मतलब this arrogance of money has to be checked, I have a plea for that, What is your plea? I said, the act provides, 185 provides for a fine, then it was 2,000 rupees and or punishment up to 6 months, imprisonment. So my plea is, that you give him imprisonment for at least 1 week, where तब जाके उसकी नशा उतरेगी वो पैसे की. And the judge saw reason to that argument and he awarded 3 days imprisonment for that punishment. So when this fear of law has to be there, and that has to be fought fearlessly, relentlessly and continuously on a persistent basis.
Especially for something like
this. It can't
this.
be isolated cases. Yeah, that एक केस मुझे याद है कि ऐसे रेडियो क्लब से डॉक्टर साहब निकले ये और पायधुनी में उनको रोका पीडी मेलो रोड के ऊपर. ही वॉज विद हिज फैमिली, हस्बैंड वाइफ एंड 2 चिल्ड्रन एंड ही वॉज आर्ग्यूइंग विद माई इंस्पेक्टर कि आई एम ए डॉक्टर एंड हाउ कैन यू स्टॉप मी फॉर ड्रिंकिंग एंड ड्राइविंग. मैं खाली यहाँ से रेडियो क्लब से मैं अभी मतलब 2 पैक पी के तो आया हूँ. तो मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगा वो मतलब कि वो बार बार ये बोल रहा था कि आई एम ए डॉक्टर और मैं फैमिली के साथ में आया हूँ वगैरह. तो आई गेव हिम एन ऑफर, कि well, I'll ask you a few questions. If you satisfy me, then I'll pardon you and I'll allow you to go. तो मैंने पूछा उसको कहाँ से किया है. बोला आपने पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन. तो बोला आई हैव डन MD फ्रॉम एबरडीन यूनिवर्सिटी इन UK. ऐसे कितने साल थे वहाँ पे. तो बोले 5 साल था मैं. ठीक है. बोला डिड यू हैव ए व्हीकल देयर. तो बोला ऑफ कोर्स यू हैव टू हैव ए पर्सनल व्हीकल देयर इन UK. तो बोला देन डिड यू ड्राइव देयर. बोले ऑफ कोर्स आई कांट अफोर्ड अ ड्राइवर देयर, आई हैड टू ड्राइव माई सेल्फ, माई ओन व्हीकल. Then I asked him, did you ever drink there? So, yes, I used to drink, in parties. Now the last question, did you ever drink and drive there? He suddenly blurted out, क्या बेवकूफ़ी की बातें कर रहे हैं. बोले साहब आप मतलब आप सोच भी नहीं सकते. बोले वहाँ पे आप लॉज आर सो स्ट्रिक्ट, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन इतना हार्श है, उसका पनिशमेंट्स इतना सीवियर है वहाँ पे कि आप शराब पी के गाड़ी चलाने का यू कांट इवन ड्रीम अबाउट दैट. Then I told him, you are an Indian, you went to do your post-graduation in Queen's Territory, you are willing to follow her rules and her laws, whereas here in India, you don't have any respect for our laws, you know. You start respecting our laws, you know, you will never think of or dream of doing this, ना. वो perception change होना चाहिए
So
ना. मैं जब
commonplace.
why the traffic constable is standing on the street, it is for my safety. हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि मतलब घर से निकलते हेलमेट रियर व्यू मिरर को लगा के रख देते, सामने कांस्टेबल दिखा कि फिर हम लगाते. किसके लिए पहन रहे तुम? फॉर whom? टू अवॉइड दैट चालान. It is for your safety, yaar. I mean, use your head. Use it properly at the right place, you know.
Literally use your head.
Literally, I said.
But I also feel, to be fair to the citizenry, sir, I also feel that there has been consistent change that is happening. Now, seat belt, for example, after your
किस्म के
campaign.
arguments आते थे बाबा. I mean, 2006, you know, there was zero challan for helmets. You know. Zero challan. August 2006, the Supreme Court ruled nothing doing. The helmet rule will be applied all over the country. No exceptions to that. In those 4 months, you know, we did around 1,25,000 challans in those 4 months. And in 2007, I particularly remember it, you know, we had challaned 5 lakh motorcyclists. 5 lakh motorcyclists को चालान किया. नहीं साहब, मुंबई का क्लाइमेट अच्छा है, ऐसा इतना ह्यूमिड है कि यू कांट ड्राइव, मेकअप खराब हो जाता है, बाल खराब हो जाते हैं, ऑल मेरा नेक पेन हो जाता है, ऑल सॉर्ट ऑफ वियर्ड रीजंस, यू नो, दे यूज्ड टू गिव. बट ये कोई नहीं कबूल करता था कि इट इज बेसिकली फॉर योर ओन सेफ्टी, यू नो.
राइट.
फिर उसमें भी छोटी छोटी बेवकूफ़ी है उसमें. हम हेलमेट मतलब जस्ट टू सेटिस्फाई द ट्रैफिक कांस्टेबल, वो टोपी के जैसा रख लेते हैं हम. उसका स्ट्रैप लगाना होता है. अगर स्ट्रैप नहीं लगाया है तो वन इफ यू फॉल डाउन, दैट इज द फर्स्ट थिंग टू गो ऑफ योर हेड.
एब्सोल्युटली.
सीट बेल्ट मतलब माइंड सेट ऐसा था कि ये 3 नाके जो है, नवघर, फिर बाद में वाशी का और इधर का अपना ये दहीसर का.
गेटिंग आउट ऑफ मुंबई.
हाँ, द मोमेंट यू क्रॉस दैट नाका, सीट बेल्ट निकाल ले रहे. क्या है मतलब?
But let's be fair, I think there's been a substantial amount of behavioral change that has happened. At
So
least
that happened because of prosecution.
Fair enough, fair enough. But it's
That
also
did not happen because of education.
right.
अगर एजुकेशन में अगर
Fear of consequences.
हाँ, फियर, या तो रिस्पेक्ट करो या तो फियर करो ना. फियर होने के लिए द लॉ हैज टू हैव अ डिटरेंट इफेक्ट, यू नो.
Right.
फाइन भी अगर है वहाँ पे, तो अगर मतलब मैं तो बोलूँगा कि आप ड्रिंक ड्राइव के लिए 50,000 रुपये फाइन करो तो भी कम है, तो भी कम है. आप मेरे को ये जस्टिफाई करके दीजिए मेरे को कि वो 2 जाने जो गई वो पोर्शे इंसिडेंट में, हाउ कैन यू जस्टिफाई दैट लॉस ऑफ 2 लाइव्स, यू नो.
Who is to be asked this question?
Who's to be asked, you know? Everyone has to be.
No, I feel that it has to be the authorities. It has to be the state government and the Mumbai Police.
No. That's where you are wrong. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को क्या फर्क पड़ा है गौतम? पुणे ट्रैफिक पुलिस में क्या हुआ है? पे लास्ट ईयर मतलब मेरे पास में अगर 1,000 फेटल एक्सीडेंट्स हुए थे तो ये साल 1,000 तो हो गए. इट इज जस्ट अ स्टैटिस्टिक,
It has
जस्ट अ फिगर. फर्क किसको पड़ा है? उसकी फैमिली को पड़ा है, उसकी इमीडिएट फैमिली को पड़ा है, उसके फ्रेंड सर्कल को पड़ा है. तो व्हाई नॉट स्टार्ट इट फ्रॉम द हाउस? तुम लोग मतलब ये सोचते हैं कि भाई पूरी जिम्मेदारी जो है एनफोर्समेंट की, दैट शुड बी विद द पुलिस. यू आर रॉन्ग. पुलिस को कुछ नहीं फर्क पड़ता है अगर यहाँ ये साल अगर 500 लोग अगर जा रहे हैं फेटल एक्सीडेंट में, अगले साल 600 जा रहे हैं.
But पढ़ना नहीं चाहिए.
कैसे पड़ेगा? फिगर बढ़ रहा है खाली एक ना, फेसलेस है वो भी. मतलब है ना, फर्क डायरेक्टली किसको पड़ रहा है?
Victims.
तुम कभी है ना, जैसा आप मेरा इंटरव्यू ले रहे हैं ना, तुम आई विल गिव यू नेम्स एंड एड्रेसेस ऑफ फ्यू पीपल हु हैव लॉस्ट देयर फैमिली मेंबर्स, देयर ब्रेड विनर्स. गो एंड आस्क देम हाउ देयर लाइफ हैज चेंज, यू नो, आफ्टर दैट डिमाइज ऑफ दैट. कमाने वाला जो मेंबर है उसके जाने के बाद में क्या हुआ है. So he is affected the most.
Correct. So just moving on, it is it's a very sad state of affairs, to be honest. But your point is well taken, that it is not a single point of responsibility. I think it has to be a collective effort, and the citizens have a role to play.
आप रॉन्ग साइड की बात कर रहे हो. स्कूल में बच्चे को छोड़ने के लिए जा रहे हैं आप रॉन्ग साइड से. आपने उसका लॉन्ग टर्म इफेक्ट सोचा है क्या कभी? नहीं, कभी नहीं सोचा ना. आप या either a mother or a father taking the child on the two-wheeler without wearing a helmet, riding on the wrong side, what lesson are you imparting your child?
Correct. What is their template? Very
What
true.
lesson are you
Very true.
imparting?
Very true.
And the child, he perceives his parent, as the idol, role model, hero है उसके वो तो ये देखेगा ना कि यार मेरे पिताजी तो मतलब मेरे को स्कूल छोड़ने के लिए जाते थे बगैर हेलमेट के, रॉन्ग साइड से जाते थे, तो दिस इज द राइट वे. सो ये लॉन्ग टर्म इसके परिणाम के बारे में हम नहीं सोचते शॉर्ट टर्म गेन्स के लिए.
Mumbai Police has gotten onto Twitter, much like several other state police departments. It is a two-way street. I mean, one is that people are able to tag Mumbai Police for violations, and I feel that in a lot of cases there has been a lot of swift justice that has been done. The police also get information. The citizen also gets some kind of accountability which they have never had before. What has been the Mumbai Police's experience? Because they also get brickbats. They also get bashed a lot.
I welcome brickbats, because unless and until we get brickbats, we are never going to improve. I take it in a positive manner. अगर आप गाली नहीं दोगे तो मुझे मालूम नहीं ना कि मैं गलती कहाँ कर रहा हूँ. मैं कितने सारे केसेस है जहाँ पे सुसाइड मतलब अटेम्प्ट्स हो रहे थे, टाइमली इंटरवेंशन हुआ either way of Twitter or any other सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म के इंफॉर्मेशन फेसबुक से कितने सारे केसेस हुए वो. So many lives have been saved because of that. And earlier the police had to rely on what was coming in the print media. Now they have their own independent platform, The print media may be influenced, by their own desires. उनके भी कुछ हेवे दावे होंगे. अभी now this is an impartial and faceless platform for them, where anyone can post whatever he feels like. I mean, उसके ऊपर दुरुस्तियाँ भी होती है, जूते भी खाएंगे, तारीफ भी तो होती है ना फिर.
But it is something you have welcomed, essentially something that must be sustained.
Absolutely. I mean, where I can, when I say, कि 2 करोड़ client है मेरे client को क्या चाहिए मुझे पता होना चाहिए ना.
Correct. Now you have a direct line to your client.
मेरे को direct line है ना. नहीं तो मेरे कोई local representative आके बोल रहा है कि यहाँ पे ऐसा होना चाहिए या ये one way होना चाहिए या फिर ये no parking होनी चाहिए. अभी now I know I can judge from the people's comments.
So sir, coming back to something that you have been responsible for, on behalf of the citizens, I would like to thank you.
Individually I have not done anything, Gautam. It's all a collective and a team effort.
You have been a key driver.
You can say.
You have been a key driver. Drinking and driving in Mumbai, irrespective of this last incident and whatever gets highlighted in the news, by and large, there's been a huge difference if you measure it on a decadal scale. What it was in 2005 and what it is now going to be in 2025, zameen asman ka farak hai. So for that, credit where credit is due. Gutka is a very different story. Gutka is banned in Maharashtra and it has been banned for some time. But the way, with the alcohol you've been able to do stuff, with Gutka it is not the same at all. And very strangely in our neighboring state, in Gujarat, there is an alcohol ban, but not a Gutka ban. Both alcohol is available in Gujarat freely, Gutka is available here. And it is, this contraband is crossing borders. So, firstly, within the state, what can the Mumbai Police do to work on this Gutka ban? Because Gutka, you walk out of here, between Mantralaya and here, you will find a place where you can get Gutka. Firstly, what can we do as inside our state, and is there some scope for a cooperative effort between, say, a state of Gujarat and a state of Maharashtra to mutually help each other for stopping this contraband crossing the borders?
I did a stint in Food and Drugs Administration. Gutka basically is a subject of the FDA, not of the police. कितने सारे लॉज जो है तो वो पुलिस के कंधे के ऊपर दे दिए हुए कि भाई यू आर द एनफोर्सिंग एजेंसी, यू डू दिस विल के। बेसिकली दिस इज द ड्यूटी ऑफ द एफडीए अथॉरिटीज, बिकॉज बैन जो किया हुआ है दैट इज बाय द इनिशिएटिव ऑफ मिस्टर महेश झगड़े, नो, हु टुक लॉट ऑफ एफर्ट्स, who faced lot of flack also, but he fought bravely, and still 10 years now it continues, that ban continues, and then in fact other states have followed us. Again here the mindset has to change, it's a question of demand and supply, because the people want it, that's why they are going and buying it, because the people want it, that's why there are vendors who are providing it. Now there are hardly 110 to 111 food and drugs inspectors, food inspectors for the entire state of Maharashtra. 110, that's all. Maybe अभी कुछ बढ़ गए होंगे तो पता नहीं है. 110 लोगों ने पूरे स्टेट के ऊपर गुटखा बैन इन्फोर्स करना है. Is it possible? So these are basically that is their paramount duty, to control all these. पुलिस के लिए दिस इज वन ऑफ द जॉब्स, नॉट द प्राइम जॉब. द प्राइम जॉब इज मेंटेनेंस ऑफ लॉ एंड ऑर्डर एंड डिटेक्शन ऑफ क्राइम एंड इन्वेस्टिगेशन. तो अभी इसमें फिर अगेन एजुकेशन. आई विल गिव यू एन एग्जांपल ऑफ cigarette, this warning, statutory warning. Till 2016 there were hundreds and hundreds of petitions in various high courts, and some of them were in the Supreme Court also, where the Ministry of Health and Family Affairs, in 2014 had issued a guideline making it mandatory for all these cigarette manufacturers to have almost 80% of their packet area, surface area, have that warning. But what happens is, can we take a break?
Yeah.
हाँ, मेरे को मोबाइल देना बिल्कुल. तो देना, because I want to show you that, अगर वो if I can locate that.
Yeah.
क्योंकि वो जो विजुअल देखोगे ना तुम, तो फिर then it will make an impact, कि क्या मैं बोलना चाह रहा हूँ.
No, are you talking about photographs of people who have suffered from malignancy?
No. Give me some time.
Sure. Please take your time.
Yes.
This is the old packaging. This is old packaging.
Yeah. So इसमें कहीं भी नहीं है वार्निंग. इसके बाद में आया था 20%, मतलब नीचे एक स्ट्रिप आता था. ओके. और जब ये 2016 में जब ये नोटिफिकेशन आया 1 अप्रैल को, now you tell me, if you see this packet, you will go and buy it, Will you buy if you see this?
It's a big deterrent.
So this is 80%. और ये जो पैकेट है ना, मैंने साइड का नहीं निकाला है. This was imported cigarette. This had come from Singapore. इसने फॉलो किया था अपने यहाँ का रूल.
Correct.
उसने वार्निंग डाला था.
वो इंडियन आदमी नहीं है.
हाँ, अपने यहाँ का वो फॉलो करके डाला था. ये वहाँ से इम्पोर्ट हुआ था. ये this is manufactured in Singapore, whereas this is an Indian company.
Correct. ITC this is.
अभी इसमें मेरे को बताओ तो मैंने 307 करोड़ की सिगरेट जब्त की थी. 307 crores.
Without the sticker.
Without this, because 1st of April they issued this notification that every packet should have that warning. वो जैसे वो वार्निंग वाला पैकेट इंट्रोड्यूस किया मार्केट में, उनके आईटीसी, गॉडफ्रे फिलिप्स, वजीर सुल्तान, सबके सेल्स एकदम नीचे आ गए ना, एकदम क्रैश हो गए. मतलब पूरा सेल्स ही एकदम खत्म हो गया उनके. क्योंकि जब तुम जाओगे वहाँ पे पैकेट देखोगे तो तुम्हारी हिम्मत नहीं होगी ना लेने की. देन अगेन दे रिवर्टेड बैक टू दिस. फिर मैंने ऐसा 307 करोड़ का सीज किया था. दैट मैटर वेंट राइट अप टू द सुप्रीम कोर्ट. आफ्टर 5 months, the Supreme Court said nothing doing, and you have to come out with the packets. आप जाके कहीं तुमको वार्निंग दिखता है पैकेट के.
Correct. So now all the packets have big warnings, all of them.
तो there was a struggle for all that, ना.
Right.
ये मतलब overnight नहीं आया ना ये.
Absolutely.
तो similarly वैसे गुटखे का भी वैसे ही है ना. गुटखे का जो है तो उसके ऊपर वार्निंग है, but again डिमांड एंड सप्लाय है ना.
Correct.
हे पक्षी आणले होते म्हणजे ते 20 बाय 40 बाय 15चा एक पिंजरा बनवला होता. आणि त्याच्यामध्ये जवळपास 150 एक्झॉटिक बर्ड्स तिथे मी आणले होते. वेअर एव्हरी डे दे स्कूल चिल्ड्रन दे यूज टू कम देअर. आणि मग त्या हातावरती आपण त्यांचे दाणे द्यायचो
Hmm.
आणि ते दाणे पक्षी हातावर बसून खाऊन जायचे.
Hmm.
यू कॅन सी हिअर ऑल्सो त्याच्या हातात पण आहे, ताईच्या हातात पण आहे.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
नाव हा जो इनिशिएटिव्ह होता, या इनिशिएटिव्हमध्ये म्हणजे 7 महिनेच होतो मी तिथे.
Hmm.
त्या 7 महिन्यामध्ये जवळपास 8,000 मुलं तिथे येऊन गेली.
Hmm. Hmm.
तर हा पक्षी आणि ह्याच्यातनं नंतर मग हा द ग्रे आफ्रिकन पॅरेट सेटिंग ऑन माय हँड्स. नाव ह्याच्यामुळं काय झालं की हे 8,000 मुलांना आपण सेन्सिटाईज करू शकलो.
Hmm.
Now, have you any time got entry to any IPS officer's bungalow?
Yes. I mean, house I've been to. Bungalow. Mumbai मध्ये बंगले कमी असतात.
मुंबईमध्ये बंगले कमी आहेत, पण म्हणजे असं त्याच्या परिसरामध्ये एंट्री मिळाली का? Because I mean,
That way, yes, yes. No, on a personal note. I mean,
he wouldn't get.
No, he
wouldn't
wouldn't
get.
get. Correct.
Well, मी बाहेर बोर्ड लावला होता मी की anyone can come inside the bungalow between 7:30 to 8, 9, that is the feeding time for these birds, and between 3:30 to 5, that is again the feeding time for the birds. कोणी येऊन आतमध्ये येऊन वॉक इन, कोणी थांबवणार नाही, कोणी नाही. So what, from where I am enjoying those perks? From where? From the taxes that you have paid, ना. इंग्रजांच्या काळात ठीक होतं की तिथे म्हणजे इट वॉज लाईक अ फोर्ट्रेस, बट वेअर इज ते 8,000 मुलं ते माझ्या जवळ आले ना.
So it's an acknowledgement of that also at some level.
And almost some equal amount of people they came inside. इथे
10 minutes we'll finish. 10 minutes, yeah. So can we resume?
Yes.
Talking a little more on substance. So we've covered gutka, we've spoken about alcohol. Narcotics is on the rise, and you've done a lot of work with narcotics as well. While there has been a lot of crackdowns that we read about, which is great to see, it's also seemingly becoming more commonplace, particularly among the youth, recreational drug use. There are two types of questions I have here. One is to do with these hard drugs, like you have your cocaine, your opium, brown sugar and things like this, which are hard drugs. And then you have softer drugs, which is your marijuana, your ganja and your hashish. And then there are things which are chemical.
Benadryl, Fentanyl.
LSD and MDMA and drugs like this are also becoming very party drugs. All of these drugs have spread across the landscape of Mumbai. Recently, some celebrity cases, like you mentioned, always tend to highlight these things. How is the Mumbai Police working to tackle the drug menace? Why is it becoming so freely available? That is one of the questions that we must ask.
Gautam, you must remember one thing, that there are specialized agencies to take care of all these offences. Now, for any violation or any wrongdoing of the society, you are putting the onus on the police. That is absolutely wrong. Now, for example, I mentioned about alcohol, if there is some spurious liquor coming into the market, then the excise department is there. It's their job. If there's some adulteration in food, then the FDA is there, So similarly, from where the drugs are coming on? If you remember the 2,000 crore drug case of Solapur, Chavan Pharmaceuticals, which was detected by Thane Police. From where did that drug come? All of them were manufactured in Solapur, in one of the factories in Maharashtra, which has basically got a license to manufacture drugs, and they manufacture psychotropic substances, like Benadryl is there, or even your some of these medicines, which are used for diabetes or cough syrups, all these, or even for asthma also. Some of them are legally, psychotropic substances. They are legally manufactured. Now, when there is an aberration, when there is lack of control, such malpractices happen. It is mandatory in the Narcotic and Psychotropic Substances Act, which mentions that all these premises which are manufacturing psychotropic drugs, they have to be examined by a drug inspector, at least twice in a year. They have to be visited by the Assistant Commissioner in Drugs Department of FDA at least once in a year. And each factory premises has to be certified by the Drug Controller of Maharashtra. each factory premises. Now, if you put your check on the very source, of these manufacturing units, then there will be definitely a big curb, on this on-street availability of these drugs. आ रहे तो यहीं से ही महाराष्ट्र में ही कोई ना कोई कंपनी है जो बना रही है इनके ऊपर अपना एनफोर्समेंट क्या है so it is just a eye wash कि वो पेपर के ऊपर
But these
दिखा
are the
दिया
same companies that are making things like LSD, MDMA, and also these are.
it is hardly a change of formulation
Is it?
slight
Okay,
change
The chemistry I am not aware of, but
no there is a very fine line of difference between the legal and the illegal part
I see.
so it doesn't take much of an expertise
Correct. So these
some-
pharma-based are very well equipped to.
no the
tweak.
profits are mind-boggling.
Must be.
They are mind-boggling. That's why I mean when I had visited that Chavan pharmaceuticals in Solapur, you won't believe एक 10 by 10 का शेड था उसके अंदर 2000 करोड़ के वो ड्रग पड़े हुए थे वहाँ पे जिसका स्ट्रीट वैल्यू 2000 करोड़ है.
Correct. What about something that is?
And again here what is the responsibility of the parents?
Parents don't even know in most cases.
So
Parents don't even know in how
whose
parents.
failure is it?
Oh, that's a very tough one, sir.
No sir.
It's
it's a very simple answer.
I mean,
The family is the most affected in case of a drug addict. Understand that.
coming into wrong company where the parents have no control over the mother and father cannot sit with the student in the college every day.
They
drop
have
them.
to.
They can't do that.
No.
That is a personally I feel that is a very large expectation.
No,
from
then they are facing the brunt of that, na.
Agreed, they are.
They are the most affected, पूरा life उनका उल्टा पुल्टा हो जाता है ना sir.
Neither am I placing the blame on law and order. It's not a blame game. It is just factual, and everybody has to play their part in eradicating some of these things.
Then eradicating, I accept that, but then if you
The idea is not to blame. That's not what, when you're saying that I'm not blaming. I'm just saying that it is a matter of fact, and that the growth also is a matter of fact, and it is a matter of concern.
यहाँ पे ऐसा हो गया कि मतलब ना आप सारी चीजें जो है तो enforcement agencies के ऊपर सौंप दे रहे हो.
I have to find some point of blame. No, I mean I have to point some point of
blame देके क्या होने वाला है मुझे
responsibility.
बताओ. Okay ठीक है, you have put the blame on the police कि पुलिस की वजह से हो रहा है ये. Who is the most affected here?
The common man.
फिर
There is no doubt about it. Absolutely. From a citizen's perspective, I have to look at a point of responsibility. That's all I am doing.
but ठीक है ना, they are doing their cases every year. They are happening ना.
Correct. There is another class of drugs which is far more common but is also culturally common, which is your ganja and your hashish.
No, it is legal in some states. Ganja is legal.
It is not legal anywhere.
Ganja is legal.
Only for bhang. Only for bhang. My understanding is only for bhang. But to smoke marijuana is not legal. Somewhere in the 80s, it was during Rajiv Gandhi's time that the Americans put pressure on the Indian government saying ये गलत चीज़ है इसको बंद कर दो. Till then it was available freely, but it was not something that was consumed by the common man. It was restricted to some people who smoked it recreationally. Predominantly it is associated with saints. So you look at Gajanan Maharaj, you look at Sai Baba, you look at Shivji is associated with certain other substances.
Come to Nasik during Kumbh.
You come to Nasik during Kumbh. So it is prevalent, it is available. Also, I just want to ask you out of curiosity, people who are doing this recreational marijuana, and in many other countries now it has become legal. They are
Yes,
looking
it
at it
is.
from a, and even India is examining it. It is re-examining its policies on these things. People have started getting licenses to grow it, but you have to take the active component out. Compared to alcohol, for example, in society, we know the harm alcohol causes in society. How does it work for things like hashish and marijuana?
Yeah, I am not the right person to comment on that, but then anything in excess is going to be detrimental. Anything in excess.
Because we don't read in the,
Moreover, a case of drunk driving can be detected by a breathalyzer. Because there is no test, to detect the case of drug addiction.
correct.
I mean,
No
if you are
instant,
driving under influence of drugs, there is no case to do that.
Correct. Absolutely true. So, moving on, we just have a couple more questions, sir. One is that, let me apologize to you because we have done a lot of bashing today. But please rest assured that this is a city that is deeply appreciative. I began by saying this, I would like to also end by saying this. There is a deep amount of gratitude for the safety that we feel, for the security that we feel, for the confidence that we feel, for the pride that we feel, and a big part of that gratitude goes towards the Mumbai Police.
Correct.
We see our policemen every day on the streets, the visible ones to us, whether they are traffic police, whether they are constables, whether they are very recently at Wankhede they had this celebration, and the number of people who have come out and thanked the police, so
3 lakh people at least.
3 lakh people on a place, it's the size of a city. 3 lakh people is the population of cities. They suffer also standing there on that road in the middle of that traffic junction, going mad every day with that much amount of noise and pollution, standing there on duty. Is there some way that institutionally we look at the mental health and well-being of this everyday constable who's standing there? For example, we know that there's a police gymkhana with beautiful recreational facilities, but that is for the senior cadre.
Officers.
What about this everyday policeman? What about his or her mental well-being, physical well-being, recreational avenues for people like this? Is this something that
Gautam, earlier, it was taken for granted that only recreational facilities to be provided for the seniors, and they were not even regular health checkups also for this constabulary. But now things are changing. Every year, we are having health checkup camps. Then even in the traffic police, we had started doing this audiometry for all the traffic police personnel, because day in day out, they are exposed to the air pollution as well as the noise pollution, and almost 70% of our traffic men, they are patients of hypertension. Then you can say there is a very high level of deafness amongst the traffic constables, because they are constantly exposed. Now here again, somewhere we feel that to drive in Mumbai or to anywhere in India, honking is very, very essential. Again, that's a myth. You try not honking and still you can reach your destinations. Compare that mechanized transportation with non-mechanized transportation like cyclists. I used to cycle from Dadar to Cuff Parade, every day when I was there in cybercrime. I was not honking even once, but still I was reaching my destination, Maybe 5-10 minutes later, but I was still reaching there,
Amazing.
So that exposure, somewhere the citizens also, of course, there have been changes, there have been improvements, this mindless honking has come down drastically, but still a lot needs to be done. Where, if we can safeguard the health of these people who are on the street by not honking, even if one person decides, okay, I will not honk from today, it's going to make a big difference,
I absolutely
and
agree.
for this, what do you mean to say? For the deafness also.
It's a shocking number that you give.
Yes.
It's a
The
shocking
department does provide them with earplugs, but then you can't help it. You just can't help it.
That's a alarming statistic.
Then there are so many cases of road rage also, if there is some VVIP movement and the traffic is held up for maybe 5-10 minutes. Now the timing has come down quite drastically, even during these VVIP movements. Some out of the box thinking also needs to be done. I remember 2009, this Judicial Academy in Uttan was to be inaugurated by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India. And there were some 70 justices of the Bombay High Court, that were going to take part in that, Now all the justices, they are entitled to an escort car. So that means, one VIP car, one escort car. That is 70 VIP cars and 70 escort cars, that is 140 cars. So they will be traveling all the way from the High Court of Mumbai in Fort, all the way up to Uttan by this Western Express Highway. I did some out of the box thinking, I went and met the Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court that time, and I requested that can they travel by buses, So he just laughed it off, how do you expect a justice to travel in bus? I said I will provide them brand new air conditioned buses from the BEST, because that time they had purchased some air conditioned buses, and then I'll take them properly in full safety and security and in proper decorum, I'll take them. The Chief Justice saw the buses himself personally. He was satisfied, and then he made all the judges come in the buses. 5 buses we took from here and a few scattered escort cars. So where is 140 cars and where is this 5 buses?
Correct,
So you have to think out of the box.
Correct.
And even
that has made a difference.
Even the president, the then president, Mrs. Pratibha Patil. So she used to come to Maharashtra. She was from Jalgaon, so quite often she used to come here for some other functions. And protocol demanded that right from the governor to all the ministers and the senior officials of the government, they should receive him at the airport, attend all the functions with him, and then they should see him off at the airport. So in all probability, they used to be with him for the entire day. So again, the tail of almost 125 vehicles following zigzagging through the entire city. There also I knew her son, so I requested can they travel in a bus. So he agreed. He spoke to her, and then she also agreed. That this is going to be a game changer. But she agreed. So when you think out of the box and take initiatives which are going to do good for the public, even the senior officials, and the politicians, they also support and they, sir, aapko par le lete hain wo.
Right.
But what you have to take initiatives.
Right.
The only thing is I am worried about is the prosecution part. Unless and until you enforce the rules ruthlessly, fearlessly, and impartially, things are not going to improve.
I think everything is improving. It is the pace of improvement, and it is some of these exceptions that come out every now and then. But I think it is all healthy for change.
Correct.
And it is working in that direction. We have one final question for you. It is again from a Mumbaikar's perspective. Who better to protect Mumbai than a Mumbaikar? And what we see is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't have statistics with me, but there aren't enough Mumbaikars in the Mumbai Police. Mumbai is full of policemen who have come from outside of Mumbai. Is that a matter of policy? Is that a matter of just disinterest from Mumbaikars to participate in this process? Why don't we see enough Mumbaikars?
There was a time during the British, there used to be village crime notebooks, we had to make an entry whenever we used to visit police stations or to villages, whether the people are willing to enroll themselves as a policeman. That was the scene 30-40 years back. We had to make those entries. But now things have changed. Otherwise, you wouldn't see thousands and thousands of aspirants standing for the police bharti every year. Even in Mumbai or in Thane or in Nasik and everywhere. And then some migration does happen. People in Mofussil areas, they will get recruited and then they will request for a transfer to Mumbai Police, or people from rural areas, coming to Mumbai and then getting bharti here, enrolled, and then requesting for a transfer to their hometown. Things do happen. But there's definitely a change for the good, You're seeing more and more Mumbaikars now in police.
In Mumbai Police?
Yes, definitely.
That is a welcome change.
Yes, it is.
Right. Mr. Baijal, has been an incredible session with you. You've been forthright, you've answered every single question, all the difficult ones that we've put your way. Apologies for being so direct, but it's been incredible to hear your responses. It's been a great pleasure to host you on the Mumbai Manifesto. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Gautam. I hope I did some justice and anything for Mumbai.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.